Hey everyone, it's your favorite alcoholic host, it's Raymond. Happy belated New Year. You know, this show doesn't run on any particular schedule, it runs on addict and alcoholic time. And depending on who we have on the show. This episode, we have Marcus. He was on one of the earlier shows. We're going on 3 years of this. This is amazing. So, let's see who we get on the show. Shoot me an email at manypasspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to share your story, it matters. It could save someone's life, believe it or not.
I am an alcoholic.
I am an alcoholic.
I am an alcoholic.
I am an alcoholic.
I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, I'm Ricky, and I am an alcoholic.
I am an alcoholic.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Try 2 with our best famous selling author of erotic fan fiction of Star Wars, Marcus.
It was just as funny the second time. Yeah, Marcus, alcoholic. Sorry for internet issues. Yeah, I am absolutely not a fan fiction author.
Well, the second time around, yeah, I know you're not. So I couldn't. I got tongue tied on it because I was going to switch it up on you, and catch you off guard, and say you're author of fan fiction of Rachel Ray and Martha Stewart.
Oh man, oh that cracks me up. A great icebreaker again. But okay, so let me get rolling. So I'm Marcus. I am an alcoholic. I came into the program in March of 2020 over Zoom. COVID had shut everything down. I went to one in-person session at the intensive outpatient treatment program that I signed up for in March. And from that point, it all switched online. And as I said before, I didn't think that Alcoholics Anonymous was going to be anything other than a check the box, because at the IOP I was in, we were required to get a sponsor and we were required to go to 4 external meetings a week outside of the sessions for IOP and our counseling. My wife found our mostly agnostic group of drunks out of Orlando, Florida, oh my God, online. And that was the first AA meeting I went to. And I found my sponsor at my second or third meeting. And we're still working together today. It took us about 18 months, about a year and a half to work through the steps. And it took me longer to do a lot of the step 9 stuff, which is typical. But I'm grateful for it. He and I still meet every week on Zoom. Never met him in person. I really hope to remedy that next year. But it's funny because when I came in, I didn't know the lingo. I didn't know what Alcoholics Anonymous was. I didn't know if the program would work for me. I truly didn't believe it would. I thought the IOP would help. But when I first came in, I just wanted to learn how to drink like a normal person. At that time, I thought, if I can just get some help, someone can teach me how to drink like a normal person. Because I had tried to regulate my drinking for years. Although relapse is not part of my story since I came into recovery, I had relapsed, in the sense that I had tried to stop drinking or regulate my drinking for years. I'd say, okay, I'm not going to drink it all this week. And usually I would go, the whole week and not drink. And then come Friday, man, it's like, fucking, hey, I did it. And I get fucking hammered. And I was more of a celebratory drinker by trade. When things are going good, I like to drink. But to be honest, I drank for whatever reason there was. The self-loathing and looking at myself in the mirror and hating the person I saw, and the life that I had built, and the disappointments and feelings of helplessness, hopelessness. I just became, as my drinking accelerated, especially the last 3 to 5 years, I just became more and more and more isolated. My anger issues got to a fever pitch where no one wanted to be around me. I had a very short fuse, and I would often overreact to the dumbest of things and make mountains out of molehills, as they say, and just explode over something stupid. And oftentimes, I think I would subconsciously do that because I wanted people away from me. I wanted to be alone. And the only way I could be alone is to drive everyone away. And that was really my day-to-day life for a couple of years. There was good times in there. I'm never going to be one of those people to say that my worst day I hear people say my best day drinking isn't as good as my worst day sober. That's not true. I had some really good days while I was drinking, but they were often sandwiched between weeks and months of misery. And my overall peace and happiness was very low. It's not that I'd watch a movie and laugh, have a good time. I'd go to see my daughter perform at a recital and be moved to tears with joy, but it was never enough. I could never be peaceful or content. Everything was never enough. Either my wife wasn't good enough in bed, or she wasn't attentive enough to me, or my kids weren't respectful enough, or my job didn't make me feel as needed or fulfilled enough, or my car wasn't fast enough, or my house wasn't new enough, or everything always felt like I wasn't good enough. And when I looked in the mirror, that's what I saw. But I come into these rooms not knowing it was going to work, met someone, started slow with the steps, because I'm an atheist, and he's not. He's actually what you might call a more deistic agnostic, which means he believes that there's something out there. He just doesn't have a definition for it. He worked me through the steps. We went through some of the God steps pretty quick, so we didn't linger very much on step 3. But we did the traditional 12 steps, and we used the 12 and 12 from AA as our step study guide. And when we got to step 4, I remember consciously thinking, and I even brought this up to my addiction counselor at the time, I was like, I can't sit here and tell some total fucking stranger all this shit. It's like, there's no way I'm going to do that. And so I drug my feet on the inventory for a long time. I don't think we actually had the sit down, the step 5 of going over it until about 7 months, maybe somewhere between 7 and 9 months of sobriety, before he finally whittled me down and I had put the time in on the inventory and we actually did it. And I got to say, it's funny because we had a meeting last night that was about the inventory, and my inventory was a powerful experience. I've heard it described this way, and it's the way it was for me. It was really like someone reached into my soul and took 300 pounds of garbage and took it out. I was physically lighter, I felt, after that was done. I was emotional. I was crying. It took us like 3.5 hours to go through it. And and he did just like right out of the big book. He's like, now take an hour. When you get done with here, take an hour to just go somewhere and reflect and just soak in what you just did. And that hour was a powerful hour, by myself, sitting in the backyard. It's a beautiful day. And just my perspective on life was different than it was before we sat down to talk. And it was on Zoom. We did it on Zoom. And that really was the first inkling that, hey, there might be something to this program. Um, I started getting into service around the same time, doing stuff at Oh My God, and really found that being accountable to others, being present for people, even if I don't feel like being there, helped me change my focus off of myself. And the more I did that, the better I felt. Uh, Worked through the step 6 and 7, which is really identifying those character traits that were brought up in the inventory that kind of revealed themselves. The analogy I like to give is the inventory to me was like standing at the mall with those digital pictures that are just like a series of colors and lines, and it's just gibberish to your eyes. But if you stare at it, after a few minutes, like an image, a 3D image starts to pull out of the picture of an elephant or something. And that's the way the inventory was for me. After we went over it, there was just some very clear things. And one of them for me is my expectations of others. I found that I constantly throughout my life, and especially the last probably 10 or 15 years, allowed my resentment of other people's failings to do what I felt they should do, or treat me the way they should treat me, or parent me the way they should have when I was a kid, or whatever. I those things ate at me like a cancer. And once we worked through some very practical, common sense ways to work on some of those specific traits, uh, you know, uh, all of a sudden I started having just days were better, weeks were better. My string of days and weeks and months of being happy and content would last longer and longer. And I just, that and doing service really just energized my recovery. I started getting into the amends, which was difficult. There were a couple of them that were really, really hard. I had one with a neighbor that I couldn't stand, and it's one of those. It's right out of the big book. It's one of the perfect resentment scenarios because I was completely justified in how fucking pissed I was at this guy, but that's not the point. I lost complete control of myself and made matters completely worse in the altercation. And I know Raymond's heard this story before. Basically, standing there with a gun pointed and screaming at him and threatening to shoot his dog. I mean, horrible stuff. And I made an amends with him, and we had a sit down. He smoked some meat. We sat on his back porch, and we hung out for like 3 or 4 hours. And I walked out of there similar to the inventory, feeling like something really good had just happened. And he and I are not close to this day. I mean, we're very amicable. We get along well, but it's not like we hang out together or anything. But it was right out of the big book in the sense that he was very happy that I was getting better. He actually talked about some of the stuff that he had done without me prompting, and we had a very positive overall experience. And most of the amends that I did were that way. They were almost all of them were very positive. And just continuing to work through these steps, I get to the final step of sponsorship. I went kicking and screaming into sponsorship. Did not want to do it. Thought I was going to break somebody. Thought I was going to kill somebody. There's no way someone needs a list of my dumb ass. I'm a high bottom drunk. I don't know shit. Don't have these rock star stories. I'm super lucky. I didn't lose my job, didn't lose my marriage. Don't have a DUI, and a lot of these are not for lack of trying. But I didn't feel I deserved that. I felt like if I were sponsoring someone, I was going to make them worse. And people in this program just kept pushing me to do it. Finally did it. And again, it was a powerful experience. The first time I went through the steps with someone, and I got to tell you, my first sponsor didn't work out. By sponsee, I mean, that poor guy died from this disease. He and I stopped working together after about 7-8 months. He was the first guy I worked with, and then he died from alcoholism. I found out a year later from his wife, and that was tough. And she actually messaged me and was very thankful for all the time I'd given. And I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't do that much. it was every person I've worked with, and I've worked with about 7 or 8 guys now. And I have 4 sponsees right now. Every single one of them is different, and every one of them has brought something to my recovery that I didn't have before. And one thing about this program, they say it's a selfish program, and it absolutely is. Fucking absolutely is. I get so much more out of this by doing it than I ever would have imagined. When someone calls me and wants to talk to me or sends me a text message and wants to talk, I get so much out of that. And when people tell you that, hey, give me a call, shoot me a text, and people think that, oh, I don't want to bug them. It's not that at all. You're helping me work my program when you reach out to me, because 2 things happen. 1, it gets me focused on someone else. And 2, that process of being there for someone else helps me. And in the end, the goal for this whole thing for me is more serenity and more peace in my life, contentment. And I have found that in AA. And we shared about this last night at the meeting. It was a great meeting last night. And I have had experiences now in this program that I just didn't think were even possible. I have made connections and friendships in this program that I never would have imagined. I'm closer. Now, there's probably some family members who may hear this someday, and I'm hoping not to hurt any feelers here, but I'm closer to some people in this program than I am people I've lived with and known my whole life. And I've last year, a year ago, I jumped on a plane and flew out to Orlando for a weekend, not to go to fucking Disney or Universal, but to go to Oh My God in person. And I met a couple of other alcoholics there, and it was a magical experience. And it is one I'm grateful I was able to do. And now next month I'm going with another alcoholic, and we're meeting up with a couple more. And there's 4 of us heading out to California to go to a convention there and be a part of an AA convention and be a part of a meeting, a hybrid meeting for someone that I've known in this program since I came in and has been a big part of my program. And it's these things I never thought, one, that would be something I would want in my life. And now, almost 4 years into this, I can't imagine my life without it. It is what I have out of this program is orders of magnitude more than I feel I've given. And I'm grateful every time someone asks anything of me. If there's a way I can be of service, I want to be there for people. And the life that it's given me with my family and my relationship with my wife and my kids, it's just better today than I think it's ever been in my life. It's crazy. It blows my mind every time I sit back and actually look at everything that's happened. And a guy said in a meeting last night, when you do the inventory, don't just focus on the negative. Look at how far you've come. And it's absolutely true. I can't go back and fix the things I did. I can do an amends as honestly and thoroughly as I can. And once that's done, that's over with. I have learned how to finally let that shit go and to move past that and not allow that thing to drag me down like a boat anchor. And that gift alone is worth this program. The ability to let go of shit that used to weigh me down is above all the one gift this program has given me more than anything else that has changed my life. And then add all the other things, the fellowship, you, Raymond, getting to meet people like you and other people in this program that have changed my life, literally. These are all gifts of this program, and then the ability to survive years like I've had this year. And I haven't told a lot of people this, but I'm going to go into it. Right, it's been about 1.5 years since you and I chatted. Without going into too much detail, but in March, my mother-in-law shot and killed my father-in-law, and they just lived a few miles from us. There's a lot to that. I don't want to go into because there's an active legal case right now, but the facts remain that she killed him. Alcohol and guns were a big part of that. That's where I'll leave that. But that rocked our family. And 3 years ago, my nephew shot and killed him. Our family has been through hell. And then this year, the man that raised me, my stepdad, I love him dearly and is someone that I look up to as what a man should be. He died this year. And my mother has had to go through that loss. And other family members, we've had to bury several family members this year. And in the middle of all that, my fucking heart started not working. I developed a bad AFib case that was so bad I could barely walk in my driveway without almost passing out, and had to go in and get treated for that. And got an ablation done in May, and I feel great. And I felt great ever since. And then I felt so good. I started exercising and walking and doing all this stuff. And then my knees said, whoa, wait a minute, fucker, you're not ready for this shit. So I fucked up my knees trying too hard. But and then my dad, who's in a nursing home, got kicked out of the nursing home for his behavior and had to find a place for him, and was juggling the Medicaid system and trying to find care for my biological father. And it has been a roller coaster ride, 6 months of a lot of pain and misery, but joy in there. My daughter graduating college and all the, my grandbaby. I'm a first time grandfather in the last year. But all of those things in the last 6-7 months, I don't know if I would have survived that 4 years ago. And I really, truly don't believe I would have if I were drinking. When I had the heart issue in March, that probably would have taken me out. But I truly, honestly do not believe I would be here if it weren't for Alcoholics Anonymous and the amazing people in this program. If it weren't for all of you fucking drunks, I don't think I would be here today. And, I was just talking to a guy yesterday. We're messaging back and forth. He's like, I can't understand how people say they're grateful to be an alcoholic. Wouldn't you want to go back and change things? And obviously, if I had a magic wand and I could just wipe away all the pain and suffering I caused, all of the depression and suicidal thoughts and things that I was trying to kill myself with when I was going into that bottle, sure, I would want to get, but we all know that's magic and I can't do anything about that. But I wouldn't be where I am right now talking to you today if I weren't an alcoholic and my life hadn't been what it was up to this point. I understand when people say I'm grateful that I'm an alcoholic, because everything that led to my life of what it is to this moment had to happen for me to be here. And for that, I am grateful. And that's what I told this guy. I think it's about finally accepting who we are, our place in the universe, what our purpose is, and what our meaning in life is. Finding that, I owe that to AA. And if I weren't an alcoholic, I wouldn't have been in fucking AA. So I don't think, and early on, I couldn't see this. My first 6 months to a year, I was just trying to find my way. But as the months and the years have stacked up, and I'm only coming up on 4 years, but the view from here, once I got off the valley floor and got out of that pain and misery, the days and weeks just got progressively better. Even when life would want to punch me in the nuts and knock me back down, I was more resilient and able to go further up that hillside and look back on my life and see how far I've come and how much different my life is today than what it was 4 years ago. It's just orders of magnitude different. It is, I know I'm a really hopey-feely kind of alcoholic when I share it, because, and some people might see it as like prophesizing, but it's because it has changed my life so much that I want everyone to have what I have right now. I have a pretty regular job. I'm not rich. I have a great family, a loving wife. But I am so happy with the guy I see in the mirror and the life I have. And I'm content in a way that I didn't even know was possible. If I truly died today, I would die a happy man, but I don't want to. I got a lot of living left I want to do, and I want to see my grandbaby graduate and all these things. But this program is one day at a time. And if today was my last day, I truly feel I have done everything I can up to this point to have a happy life. And if it were to end tomorrow or tonight, I'm okay. I feel that I'm not leaving any shit behind. And that feels really fucking good to have this more days than not. Does it mean that every day I'm happy? No, fuck no. There's days that life gets at me and that stinking thing and creeps back in. But the days that I feel like I do right now far outweigh the days that I don't. And I know I have the tools now when that other stuff happens. It was like just, all this stuff that happened back in March, I got overwhelmed. And there was an alcoholic, and I don't want to mention his name. He's such a great guy. I reached out to him, and he could just tell in my voice that something was different. He and I would talk almost daily, and he was still relatively new to the program, less than 6 months sober, and, I was one of his check-in buddies. And he could tell that something was off in my voice, and I was really not in a good headspace that day. And I just broke down with this guy and just told him what's going on. I feel like I shouldn't feel this way. I've been sober over 3 years. I shouldn't feel this way. I should feel good. Where's that serenity and happiness I had last month? And I was mad that I wasn't feeling good. What a silly concept. And I just broke down and had an amazing conversation with that guy. And he and I got much closer after that. And a guy with 6 months of sobriety who just happened to be checking in as part of whatever his sponsor had him doing, connect with me in a way that I can't even measure. And I wouldn't have had that moment and built that connection had I not been in this program. And that moment got me to a place where I was able to change everything around me. And it's been 6-9 months since then. And despite all the craziness happening in my life, it's really fucking good today. Really fucking good. And it is truly a joy, Raymond. Boy, I didn't even stop talking once. Normally there's more of a dialogue. My apologies. I just kind of went off there. But I really am happy that you're doing this podcast. And I'm grateful that you asked me to come back, and sorry I went on like a 20-minute tirade there. But it's been a beautiful journey, and I'm glad to be on it with you. Say something, Raymond.
Well, don't be sorry for going on a tirade. There's something you needed to get out, and you got it out, brother. I mean, that's what this is about. And I've learned to just go with the guest on the show.
Yeah.
A lot of good points, a lot of good talking points. I need to start taking notes when guests do that. That way I can go back to them. The magnitude of what we're doing.
You're saving lives, and you said this once. It was probably a year or so ago. I can't remember what guest when I first heard you say it, but you were like, if this helps one person get sober and change and save their life, then it's worth it. And that was a powerful thing. I remember that. I don't remember if it was the first podcast you did or what, but I remember that hitting me because that is truly how I feel about this. When they say I'm responsible, anytime, anywhere someone reaches out for help, I want the hand of A always to be there. And for that, I am responsible. That shit gives me the feels every time because that's how I feel about this program, because that's what happened to me. My sponsor was that guy. He reached out. And had he not reached out, I wouldn't be here today. Had other alcoholics not taken the time to work with me and push me into service and help me work through the stuff I needed to work on. I mean, it's just the village has helped this idiot tremendously. and I can't ever give back enough. There's not an amount of service I could do to make up for what I've got. But I feel I owe this program my life. And that's why I am so dedicated to doing service and being there for people and doing whatever I can, because, it's I truly believe that. And the life I have now is fucking magical. It really, really is. I mean, I don't have a fucking great job. I don't have a great house. I don't have a great car, but all that shit is stuff. The people in my life and the relationships I have with those people are so fulfilling and so special that it and every day I'm almost every day. I can't say I don't want to use absolutes. Almost every day I wake up and go to bed feeling content. And I have that far more than I ever had before this. I've had more content, peaceful days in the last 3.5, 4 years than I probably had in the 40 plus years prior. So it's in all this program that's done it for me. And I said this last night at a meeting, A is not for everybody. There's other stuff out there, and I'm not here to yuck on anyone else's yum. You've heard me say that before. If what you're doing is working for you and it's making you have peace and happiness in your life, whether it's God, whether it's AA, whether it's SMART or Ring or whatever, hey man, Dharma recovery, you do you. If you're happy with your life, keep doing what you're doing. Because we're only here for a little bit. I mean, we're here for a split second of reality, and find ways to find that peace and happiness. Whatever you're doing is giving you that, you do that. And don't let me take anything away from it. But this program has worked for me and has worked for a lot of people I know. But in order for it to work, it takes work. It's not easy. And it takes dedication, and it takes humility. It takes being willing to let other people guide you and do what other people say, even when you don't want to, even when you don't know if it's going to work. It's one of my favorite sayings, and I heard Nathan say this years ago, the doing brings the understanding. And it fucking absolutely does. I didn't think AA was going to work for me or was going to work for anyone for the first few months I was doing it. It didn't start to make sense to me until after I did my inventory. Then it started to make sense. And it wasn't even, the picture wasn't clear yet. It took starting to do amends, doing service. All this stuff started to get clearer and clearer. And then it just snapped. After about 1.5 years in, I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking great. These people are awesome. This Raymond dude is cool. Oh, I love this shit. But I didn't get there for about 1.5 years, 2 years in. And for some people, it takes longer, and some people it's quicker. We're all different, but I just, it really does take people who want it. If you don't want what we have and you're not willing to work for it, like your life fucking depended on it, probably not going to work for you. And I hope you find what you need. I have met far more people that didn't do it than the people who have. And I think that's a sad reality. There are more people I've seen come and go than people have come and stayed. Boy, those people have come and stayed are fucking great. Once you're part of the tribe and you snuggle up to the campfire with us, you stick around for a while, it's pretty fucking magical, man. Never would have thought, Raymond, I went out to Orlando last year. Never would have done that. I don't even go out and visit my fucking brothers and stuff as much as I ought to. I had to go see him. I hadn't seen him in years, but I flew out to fucking Orlando to see a bunch of drunks. I'm driving out to California to go see some more, and I'm going to be carpooling with a couple of other guys. It's going to be great. Shit like I used to do when I was in high school. We're all hopping in a fucking car and driving out to an AA convention. Fucking AA convention. It's not even a secular one. It's no convention, but I think the theme of the convention is let go and let God.
Oh, you're going to the one out in California then?
Yeah, I'm going out to the one in the San Fernando Valley in January.
Oh, so you'll see Nathan.
Yeah, I will, absolutely. I've seen him before. I was very fortunate I saw him last year, a year ago when my wife and I went to California. We made a point to connect with him. And, he's a big part of my program. I got to see Mikey J. when I went out to Orlando. And I needed that because Mikey was a big part, or is a big part of my program. Max and Kat and Scott B, a lot of the Omegodians that were there when I came in. I'm grateful for them. And, I get to meet Doc and Ricky and so many amazing people when I went out there. And there was people, that were there that I didn't even know lived there that I got to meet. It was great. It was really a magical experience. And I'm looking forward to going out to California next month, do the same thing. And then next year, I think I'm going to go east and try to catch some of the people from Boston and New York and stuff that I know in this program that I really would love to see. So, and you're in Ohio, I think, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you're going east, and you're talking about that far. You hit Ohio before those other places.
I'm telling you, man, it's. I think I might want to do a Zach. He's doing his road trip next month, and I'm hopping in halfway.
Well, he's the whole reason I had you come back to the show.
Yeah, he's a great dude. I have known him. Actually, I've known him longer than a lot of the other people because I met him in a different room when I first came in, a beginners meeting. I started going to Oh My God, but then I also started going to a great beginners meeting. There's a 12-step beginners meeting and a living sober beginners meeting that's on Sundays and Wednesdays. And Michael and Roger, who run that meeting or have forever, were there when I came in. Very small, intimate group. And I started going, and I met Zach there, met Heidi there, Owen, and I was fortunate to convince some of those folks to come to the other meetings.
But have you realized you're the catalyst of what's going on? Like part of the catalyst of what's going on with it?
Man, I just don't see that, dude. I don't do well with compliments, Raymond.
Well, just give me a minute. And who did you have him talk to? Whose podcast did you have him come talk to me?
Yeah, no, I talked to him for probably 2 hours, convincing him to come on your podcast because his story was so powerful, moved me so much. I really, and I've gotten to know him as a friend. I really wanted him to come on there, and it was so special when he came like a year ago.
It was like a year and 3 months ago. Then he was on here on the last episode.
Yeah.
Your name came up so much. And he got started before I even hit record, so we missed part of the conversation. Because the first time he came on here, it was just like, I kind of had to like groom him to get going, and now he's just. I mean, that's huge, dude. That's huge, and you think you're not. That's someone that was because he's got a little bit more time than you, right?
Yeah, he was already in the rooms when I came in.
Yeah, so and that's we talk about fellowship and all that, and that's the program working. That's helping someone else with, that shows the younger, like the person with 6 months relating to you and talking to you, and I mean it's. I don't know. It made me think about you and needed to just get you on here because I know you suck at compliments, and sometimes
I just don't feel.
Well, don't feel it.
When someone says you did so much for me, I'm like, dude, I just answered the phone. Is in my mind is all I did.
That's the point I'm trying to drive. That's the point I'm trying to drive, Marcus. Quit trying to take my thunder and let the point be driven. I try to show people the little nuances that we overlook.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. Is just we overlook so much.
If he hadn't called me, I wouldn't have the sponsor I have, and he's been Mike out of Baltimore, and he goes to Oh My God occasionally, which is just funny because I met him in Oh My God, even though that's not a meeting he goes to all the time. I mean, he would tell me that's my higher power working through me because, we got connected and it just clicked. He got me right away. I could relate to him right away, and we've stuck together ever since. Yeah, it's it's funny because the little things, like you said, they add up,
And that's one of the things I gotta keep reminding myself when I start resting on my laurels and I start getting complacent and stuff like that, is the little things. And that's been my new big thing, is just observing the little things.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that Zach, when I first met him, one of the things he did in meetings that I always thought is he took notes, and he would read from his notes like weeks later. And I thought, gosh, I should do that. And I have a couple times, not nearly as much as I wish I had, but it's one of the things that stuck with me, and one of the reasons why I really was drawn to him early on is he was really serious about trying to absorb what people say and do and get as much out of it. And he would write it down, and then he'd refer back to it weeks later. Now I'm sitting there, and this is early on in my recovery. I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? This guy's fucking taking notes. That's like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm half-assing it. And maybe I was at the time. I don't know. But it's answering the phone and then making the call. I mean, and I was working with this guy out of Arizona, and he's really, God, he's such a smart guy. But it's almost like he's too smart for his own good, because he spends more time arguing about the way AA works and different policies and different programs and things in the book. And he spent more time arguing about doing the steps than doing the steps. I told him one time, I was like, dude, how many years have you been around AA? It had been like 15, 18 years or something. And I was like, you've never went through the full steps? He's like, no. I was like, Jesus, man. What? You could have banged it out 17 years ago. And yeah, you could say, see, didn't work for me. But you're convinced it's not going to work, but you could have done it 20 times between then and now. I said, I can't wrap my head around that. I was like, for me, this program, one of the hallmarks, honesty is a big point. And part of being honest is being honest that we're fucked up, and that we don't have the fucking answers. Because if I had the answers, I wouldn't fucking be here. I wouldn't need someone to guide me through it and help me and work the steps and do an inventory. If I had all the answers, I wouldn't need any of that stuff. I needed to be humble enough and have some humility to listen to what other people had to say and absorb that and change my life based upon other people's lessons. Because I had been living my life through burning my hand to check if it's hot my whole life. Is that hot? Well, let me burn my hand and make sure that, and it's funny because one of my kids is that way. She is, her and dad are two peas in a pod. It's like, you got to learn the fucking hard way. I got to do it myself and and be convinced of it by burning my own hand. Part of what this program is accepting the wisdom and guidance of other people, and doing it just to do it, even if you don't think it's going to work. I mean, I've heard people like Nathan came to this program, and it was almost all traditional AA, which means very God heavy early on. And he's like, someone tells him to pray, he fucking prayed, even though he's an atheist. That's what it takes for this program to work, in my opinion. This is just Marcus. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And that means not necessarily what my brain tells me to do, but what someone else tells me to do. I got to be willing to try whatever because it's, I'm trying to remember who said this, but it's a great analogy. You got to do it like you're drowning, and that person has the life preserver and you want them to throw it to you. You got to do whatever it takes to get that life preserver. That's the type of energy and effort I believe really takes this program to work.
I think Mick Jagger said that one.
Maybe he did, because I mean, it's, one of the other things I've heard people say, and it's true, is like, think of anything in your life. If you give it a half-ass effort, don't be surprised when you get a half-ass result. If all you do is go to meetings and sit on the sideline and don't talk to anybody, don't do any steps, don't get a sponsor, well, don't be shocked if all you get is a spectator's view of the recovery. Because if you're a spectator in your own recovery, then that's all you are. It's a program of action. You got to get your fucking hands dirty in this program, and there's parts of it that are hard, and some of it is just getting out of our own head. Like last night, Tony said something that was fucking profound when he talked about the inventory. That it was the fear of how bad it was going to be that hurt him more than the actual inventory, and I related to that so much because I drug my feet because two reasons. I didn't want to do it. And two, I didn't want some stranger I barely knew in Baltimore to fucking do it with me. This guy's going to go tell other people and people are going to find out I did this shit. I had all these fucking thoughts racing through my brain before we ever sat down and did the inventory together, the fifth step. And in the end, the doing it was so powerful and such a positive experience that all of the suffering leading up to that was of my own creation, really. It was me dreading it that was more painful than the actual thing. And Tony S. said that last night, and I'm like, yes, because I totally related to that. And other people said it too. I mean, one guy, Jordy, which was great, he just kicked off the meeting with like, fuck this step, it sucks. Because it is. We dread it. Because it is. It's hard. But a lot of what we do in this program is hard. Because if it were fucking easy, we would have done it already. This program takes action, and it takes dedication, humility, and hard work.
Well,
God,
I think
it's amazing.
I think all the programs out there and something, you're gonna have to do some type of work.
Absolutely,
you're gonna have to dedicate yourself to it. It's just not this program. I mean, it's
yeah.
I think point. If anyone wants something to take away with this, and AA is not their thing, and you find something else, you're gonna have to do the work. Yeah, you're gonna have to dedicate yourself one way or another. I mean, it's
and you gotta want it more than you want to die. And there was a time I didn't know if that's what I wanted, and I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I had that epiphany and I realized that I want to live.
I'm grateful you did too, because I mean, this is round 2, man. I don't get to talk to you enough. I don't see as much as I used to, as I did in my early stages of recovery, but your name comes up, and it was just, your name always comes up when I talk to him.
Well, it's special, and he's changed my life in a lot of ways that I don't think he knows. And I'm grateful that he calls me friend, and I consider him a friend as well. And a lot of the people in this program, I'm telling you, the relationships I have with a lot of people in this program are tighter than the relationships I have outside of it. That's created its own problem, Raymond. It really has. My wife, I love her dearly, and I don't deserve her. She has put up with more from this fucking drunk than she ever deserved, and I'm grateful that she stuck around. But she, there's times where I can tell she's jealous because, it's that whole. You see what other people, there's sometimes there's a little bit of resentment of why keeping up with the Joneses. Why is that guy having such a good fucking time? And it's true. I mean, I going out to Orlando and meeting Doc and Ricky and a lot of other people, and Mikey and those, and, it's like she said, I can't even imagine just jumping on a plane and going to, because it's not like we're rich, But it was so valuable to me that that's something I wanted to do. And this trip to California, she knows, is really a big deal to me. And, she supports me, even though she's like sometimes rolls her eyes. It's like, no, Marcus is going to go hang out with some alcoholics again.
Yeah. I get it though. I've had the opportunity to meet a couple people, and it's a powerful thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Dude, I've learned so much from so many people, and you're one of them. And Mississippi Mike is another one. That guy, the simplest thing he said, if you're thinking about somebody, call him. And he says it over and over and over for years. He's been saying that, and I started just doing that, just trying to do it. I was like, I'm thinking about my brother. Let me call him. Oh, I'll leave a voicemail. Thinking about my daughter. Let me call her. And that simple act of just reaching out to people that are in my brain, alcoholics or family or friends or whatever, has netted me so much joy. The time I've spent doing that, I've gotten back a millionfold in just joy. Because then they'll call me back if they don't answer. Oh, I'm so glad that you never know where someone's at. And sometimes you being the person that called them is what makes their fucking day. Because it's happened to me. I've had that dude call me. I was on a shitty ass fucking day. Me and my boss had gotten into it. I was on my way to go get some lunch because I still have an issue with food. So I was on my way to overeat. Marcus still has some shit he's working on. And he called me in the middle of that, and I had a great conversation with him. And I was like, I wouldn't have had that had he and I not been somebody who calls each other regularly, and that's those gifts like him and March and a lot of guys, Mitch. I don't talk to him every day. But boy, when I do, it sure is special. And you can only have that if you jump in with both feet and open yourself up enough to allow people to reach out to you and you reach out to other people. It's just one of those things. And what I get back from that is orders of magnitude more than what I feel I'm putting in. And that's why I think, like when you say it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, I'm doing something, because in my mind, I was like, I'm just fucking texting somebody or calling somebody. I don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot, but it has changed my life in ways that are just it's just so good, man. And I'm grateful for you. I would never, some of the people you've had on, and I know a lot of the people you've had on, which has been special for me. You've been able to corral a lot of the Reason and Recovery and Oh My God, folks, for your podcast. It's been special. But I've enjoyed hearing, a lot of the people you've had on that I didn't know at all, and I think that's more people would benefit from listening to your podcast and some of the other ones that are out there, just people getting together. Like you said, just one alcoholic talking to another. It's powerful stuff. Man, I'm monopolizing this conversation.
Yeah, you sure are, man.
I feel bad.
Made my job easy today.
I feel like I'm talking too much.
Get it out, man. That's what it's for.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's been, Christmas is right around the corner. I'm not a religious person at all, but I love the time of year. It's one of the few times a year where it feels to me where people take a little bit more time and think about other people. It's a lot about what this program really is to me. So Christmas is a time of year for me that I really enjoy, and very much looking forward to it. And the relationships I have with the people in my life, are enriched by me, A, being sober, and B, being someone who actually worked on himself for a little while and was dedicated to a program of recovery.
Yeah.
Dude, I almost break down crying every time I say it. My youngest daughter, let me get my words here, but I don't want to start fucking crying. But she tells me how proud she is of me. She's young. She's 24. Oh, God, I'm going to screw this up. 23. She'll be 24 here soon. But she tells me how proud she is of me. She's my baby. It's not her job to be proud of me. I'm the one supposed to be proud of her. But, she's seen such a huge change. And she is the cornerstone of my bottom. She was, and I think you've heard this, I said it last time we were in the story, she was the one that I was, had the huge blowout with. and my wife was going to leave me and everything all over that incident. You know, it's to have her say that now over the last couple of years. You know, I was sober at her wedding. I was not sober at my oldest daughter's wedding. And that's one of the regrets that I had to work through. My youngest daughter's wedding, I was sober at, and at the daddy-daughter dance. Damn, I'm choked up. Her telling me how proud she was of me and thankful that I was sober. That relationship, I was hell-bent to destroy that relationship. And now it kills me because she lives so far away. I don't see her very often. But every time I talk to her and it's always special. Her relationship is so much better, even though we don't live close. We don't see each other but a couple of times a year. When we do, it is so much better than it ever was. And a lot of that's my fault, and I had to get past that. I had to allow that, make the amends with her and allow that relationship to grow without continuing to sour it by feeling bad about all the history. Just enjoy the new thing. And it's been super special. Dude, I really appreciate you, Raymond. You've done so much. You podcast and website. I look at all the stuff that you do. I'm like, God, man, how's that guy do that? And I heard Zach say that too, and I think the same thing. Man, this guy, former GI cop, and now he is doing podcasts and websites and shit. It's like, damn, that is awesome. And it's such a huge thing for the community. The service it provides, giving people a voice and a place to be heard and then listen to other people's stories. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
I'll have you back on, and next time I'm gonna put a dinger on, that way I can get some words in.
I'm sorry, man. I feel bad. I just, dude, I didn't think I was gonna go off like that this morning.
No, it's fine.
I guess I needed to hear my voice this morning.
I could tell. I mean, it's good, man. I'm just busting your chops.
I know. I appreciate you.
If people just want to come on and talk and just talk, I let them. That's the purpose of this. If there's dialogue, there's dialogue. I mean, that's what the title shows. Many paths, so there's many stories, and this could go any which way. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah,
this is the alcoholics and the addicts is what makes this show. It's so you ain't got to apologize.
There are some great people
brother.
in this program. I mean, I would miss too many people if I tried to name everyone. But there are so many great men and women in non-binary and trans people of all stripes. And I have met some of the most amazing human beings in this program, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm glad that you're capturing it. Because I've heard the Abbeys and the Owens and other people in here who I care so much about, and I've heard them share, and the Jesses and Zach, and there's so many people you've had on here, Nathan and all these others that I just really care a lot about. So to be able to hear them and have it captured, I can go back and listen to it. I listen to a lot of these episodes over and over, so it's a service you provide that I don't think you realize how big it really is, because there's times where I just need to hear Abby's voice and I'll go and listen to hers, there's times like that where I know, who I need to listen to for a minute based upon where my head's at that day. And I go back and listen to them over and over. I got a couple of them downloaded. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah. It's a great service you're doing.
I'm glad you came on the show, man. Really
Me too. Thanks for having me, dude. I'm sorry if I overtalked you too much. I did need this, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to unload some stuff that I needed to talk about. And I absolutely want to get a chance to see you at some point. And I think that's my goal next year. I'm going out to California in January, and then sometime either late 2024 or 2025, I think I want to head east, and I think I'm going to do a road trip because I want to stop and see a lot of people.
Yeah. That's awesome. I need to do some of that too. Now that I'm getting settled and getting some actual flexibility into my life. So that's amazing. When you actually are in control.
The gifts
of
of this
life.
program, I try to tell people all the time, you can't see how good it is until you get out of it. Just give yourself time, give yourself a break, give yourself a little bit of credit, keep doing it, dedicate to it. And the days, the months, the years add up, and it just gets better and better and better. As for me, I'll be 4 years sober in March of 2024. And I mean, if it gets better than this, I don't have no idea because I still feel fucking great. So,
yeah,
stick to it. What I would tell anybody, be humble, man. I can tell you, man, I know, I won't say I've been more jaded the last year, but I definitely I've picked up on the broken record more, when I start to hear people say certain things, I was like, man, I wish this person wish they could see it differently because, but it's that thing. You can't, until you live it, you can't know what the experience is until you've had it, unfortunately. For some people, they just can't see. I mean, it's right out of the big book. There's people that this program will never reach, and it sucks, but it's a reality.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful it has, and there's people who have done other stuff that have found joy in their life and peace and sobriety, and I'm happy for them too. Whether it's Dharma or whatever, I'm happy for all of them. Because in the end, getting out of breaking those shackles of addiction, whatever the addiction is makes life so much more rewarding. Or it has for me. Thanks, dude. All right, man. I should probably get off.
Yeah. You're welcome, man. I'll see you around or talk to you or something, man. You have a great Christmas. Enjoy the time with the family.
And Happy New Year. And
that too. Buddy. So take care, brother.
Take care, bud.